Hey guys, it is Carly bringing you day number 23 of my 31 days of horror, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing a movie that once again I found on Netflix. It is one that I have passed up simply because it's set on Halloween, and I don't like watching Halloween movies if it's not Halloween time, sort of like I wouldn't watch Christmas movies in the middle of summer, so I kind of just I had kept putting this one off for a while and finally got around to watching it, and that is Tales of Halloween from the year 2015. This movie basically kind of follows in the footsteps of Trick 'r Treat. It is an anthology film that is supposed to take place on the same night of Halloween in the same small town. Basically just a bunch of bad and weird, strange events keep happening on the night of Halloween while people are out trick-or-treating and things like that. So this movie contains 10 short films directed by a bunch of different directors. It's not all by the same person. It was just kind of a bunch of different Halloween stories that came together to form one movie, and they run about 9.5 to 10 minutes long. The film in general, I believe, ran 97 minutes, which I think that 10 minutes is the appropriate time period for shorts to develop and become good stories in a small amount of time, where I said in All Hallows Eve Part 2, my problem with that movie was some of the shorts were literally 2 minutes long and there really was no story there at all. You can pull that off if you can make a solid story with a solid ending in that time period, but if you just have kind of things just thrown together trying to hurry up and it just feels rushed, it just doesn't work out. But I think these shorts had plenty of time to develop, and I have to say, to start out, the beginning credits for one thing were pretty cool. It kind of opens up with an animation type deal where it's kind of going through the town and showing trick-or-treaters and stuff like that, just very animated, and it tells you the name of each short and who directed it and produced it and things like that, I believe. And basically the whole story has I believe her name is Adrienne Barbeau. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but basically that girl, she played in The Fog, of course, and a couple other John Carpenter films and other horror films as well, and she is being a radio DJ, which is pretty cool. And you hear her throughout the movie kind of just saying oh, all this scary stuff happens on Halloween night, stuff like that. And to get into the shorts, the first one is pretty good. It's pretty basic, kind of like a, babysitter telling a story and then the story comes true and all hell breaks loose type of deal. Kind of cheesy, the babysitter's with her boyfriend and they have just kind of cheesy dialogue back and forth and things like that. It's a very basic, fun, cheesy thing, and right off the bat I realized this is more of a comedy horror than horror comedy, and if you just take that in right away, you can definitely have fun with this movie. Don't expect too much horror or surprising, shocking moments or anything like that. All the shorts are basically comedy horror type shorts, and they are meant to be fun, and you just have to go along with it, go along with the ride. I will say though, starting out, I kind of just had a bad taste in my mouth after the first short. The next 3 or 4 I really did not care for too much. I thought they were a little too either over comedic, or I just didn't care for the story too much. But I of course held out. And like I said, there's 10 shorts in here, and I gotta say, I ended up liking the ones more towards the end as opposed to the ones at the beginning and middle portion, and that kind of bumped my rating up a good 2 points, honestly. I think if I like more shorts in a anthology than I don't like, then it is a success, because there's always going to be those shorts that you just find to be boring or not well made, and like I said, some of them are just a little too cheesy for my liking. I know some people might feel differently, but for me, I just did not care for them. But then there's other ones towards the end that really pay off. One in particular has this little, it's kind of like an alien type creature come down to Earth, and he is all animated and adorable, and I just really fell in love with that character, and it made that short like a 10 out of 10 for me, even though it probably wasn't the greatest. But then the very ending, of course, is kind of where things all tie together. I think that was probably the best thing about it, is the ending was pretty solid. It did effectively tie things together, because basically the last short involves the cops getting involved, and you have the cops saying like, oh, there's all types of weird stuff going on tonight, and then they're referencing back to stuff that happened earlier on in the movie. And it's also cool because this movie has a lot of big horror actors or directors type people in it, such as Adam Green and of course Adrienne Barbeau and Caroline Williams, who surprisingly, oddly enough, I've seen 5 movies with her in it in like literally the past 2 months, which weird coincidence, but I think that's pretty cool when you see recognizable faces. And one last thing I have to say is I'm getting tired of seeing Night of the Living Dead played in all these movies. I know it's cool to have a horror movie playing within a horror movie, but I know people just keep using that movie because it is public domain, and the novelty is kind of wearing off for me. I know, I'm not completely knocking it. I know some people still appreciate that and think it's cool, but after a while, it's just kind of like, oh, you know why they're using this movie. And yeah, that's really about all I have to say about this one. Like I said, some shorts are better than others. Some of them are a little cheesy and trying a little too hard to be more funny than horrifying, but I like how they're all set on Halloween. It's definitely got nothing on Trick or Treat. I don't think anything after that can really come in comparison. There's been like other horror Halloween type anthologies to come after that. They're trying to like kind of compete with it, but I think that one is probably like the best of this time period so far. But this one is definitely up there. Like I said, it's pretty cool how they tried to make it at least set on Halloween, and they tried to interwove the stories, and it's not just a bunch of shorts. So I do like that about it. And for this one, I give it a 7 out of 10. Seems like a good rating. So yeah, thank you guys once again for joining me for day number 23 of my 31 days of horror, and I will see you in the next one.